Today we're talking about something that doesn't get enough attention in the AI conversation. We're talking about data. Not AI data, not machine learning data, your data. The data sitting in your spreadsheets, your CRM, your customer service emails, and your old databases. I'm going to show you why big data is the real reason AI projects fail, what it costs businesses, and exactly what you need to do about it. Welcome back to the AI in Business channel. I'm James Anderson. In the last session, we'd covered chatbots, what they can and can't do, and the handoff that makes or breaks any implementation. If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch it because this episode builds on that. Let me start with a statistic that should concern any business owner watching this. Between 70 and 85% of all project failures are due to data problems, not problems with algorithms themselves. That comes from research by Gartner, Deloitte, and McKinsey, spanning the last several years. When AI projects fail, most people assume the algorithm wasn't smart enough. They think the model was built wrong, but the research tells a different story. The models are often brilliant. The problem is what you feed them. Think about it this way. You could have the most sophisticated recipe in the world, but if your ingredients are spoiled or poor quality, you're going to get a terrible meal. And AI is exactly the same. The algorithm is the recipe, the data is the ingredients, and most businesses are cooking with spoiled or terrible ingredients. The financial proof is staggering. The average failed AI project costs around $2.5 million in enterprises. A study from MIT in 2025 found that 95% of generative AI deployments showed zero revenue impact. Zero. Not because the AI wasn't powerful enough, because the data wasn't ready. And it's not just about messy data. Statefarm faced a lawsuit in 2022 over a machine learning algorithm for detecting fraudulent claims. Plaintiffs allege the algorithm used data about housing and behavior as proxies for race, subjecting black homeowners to extra security. The case survived a motion to dismiss. That's a real legal risk from data that nobody checked for bias before feeding it into an AI. And here's what I want you to take away from this. The algorithms aren't the bottleneck, your data is. And that's actually good news because you can do something about your data. You can't build a better algorithm than Google or OpenAI, but you can clean up your own data. Now let me talk about something that most AI vendors won't tell you up front: the hidden cost of data cleanup. A survey found out that organizations lose an average of $12.9 million annually due to data quality issues. Here's the 110-100 rule that every business owner should know. If you catch a data error at the point of entry, it costs $1 to fix. If you catch it after it's already in your system, it costs $10. If you catch it after a customer sees it, it costs $100. And the cost escalates dramatically the longer bad data sits in your system. And here's the part that surprises most people. Data scientists, the people actually building the AI models, spend 60% of their time cleaning databases. They're not building models, they're cleaning up mess. I've seen this firsthand in my own business. We spent months building what we thought was a straightforward AI system for customer service. And when we realized our historical data was a complete mess, inconsistent formatting, duplicate customer records, customer entries that had been manually edited by different people over years with no standard format, we had to go back and clean house and make sure all of that data was in a nice orderly fashion before the AI could even begin to learn. The consulting industry has noticed this too. There are firms that make a very good living convincing companies they need months or years of data cleaning before any AI can work. And there's no clear endpoint. Clean enough is undefined. The goalposts keep moving and the invoices keep coming. And I'm not saying data cleaning is unimportant, it is, but you need to be realistic about what it takes and not let anyone convince you that the need for perfect data before you can get started. Perfect data doesn't exist and it's not necessary. So let me give you a real example of what happens when a business gets this wrong. A UK online retailer invested 45,000 in a custom recommendation engine in 2024. They wanted to show customers products that were more likely to buy based on browsing and purchase history. The technology was solid, the algorithm was sophisticated, but within 6 months they were seeing 25% irrelevant suggestions. Customers were getting recommendations that made no sense and conversion rate dropped by 12%. The problem wasn't the algorithm, it was their data. Duplicate customer records, some customers appeared 3 or 4 times with slightly different email addresses, purchase history that includes item returned years ago, product catalogues with inconsistent category codes from a system migration 2 years earlier. They scrapped the entire project after 6 months. £45,000 on AI that couldn't work because the ingredients were so bad. Then another 20,000 cleaning the data to understand what went wrong. Total loss. Over £70,000. So notice something about that story. The technology worked perfectly. If they'd cleaned their data first, the project would have succeeded, but they didn't, and they lost both the money and the time. And this is a pattern that I've seen over and over again. Businesses spend tens of thousands on AI without checking whether their data is ready, and then they blame the technology when it doesn't work. Now here's where I want to change your perspective. That messy data sitting in your business isn't just a problem, it's also actually an asset. It's gold if you know how to use it. Your customer service emails contain real-world patterns of how your customer asks questions, what their complaints are, how they describe their problems, and what language they use. That's infinitely more valuable for training an AI model than generic data sets from the internet. And here's how to turn those emails into AI training data. First, collect your historical data. Export 6 to 12 months of past customer emails. Aim for at least 1,000 conversation threads. Second, anonymize the data. Remove personal details like names, emails, phone numbers. This is essential for GDPR compliance. You can use tools like Google Cloud DLP to do this automatically. Third, label and categorize the emails. Tag them as refund request, technical support, billing question, positive feedback. And then this will teach the AI what different types of inquiries look like. Fourth, connect your labeled data to an AI platform and feed it for training. The results will be significant. Businesses that have done this report automating 40 to 60% of routine inquiries, reducing staff workload by 20 to 30% without losing the personal touch on complex issues. One company saw response times drop from hours to minutes. Your data isn't just a mess to clean up, it's the raw material for building AI that understands your business specifically. Now let me share you something that will change how you think about data. The 80-20 rule. 80% of the value in your data set comes from 20% of the records. Not all data is created equal. Your most recent, most complete, most relevant records are worth far more than the thousands of old entries sitting in your archives. 1,000 high-quality, well-labeled interactions from the last year will train a better AI than 10,000 randomly selected records from the last decade. And this is liberating because it means you don't need to clean everything. You need to just identify the 20% that matters and focus there. For most businesses, that means your last 12 to 18 months of customer interactions, your current product catalog, and your active customer records. And here's the related insight. More data isn't always better. After a certain point, adding more data gives you less improvement while adding more mess. And this ties into context and the way large language models work. Basically, the more context you put into them, the lower quality the output on it. More duplicates, more inconsistencies, more outdated information. And we have made this mistake early on. We kept adding data to our training sets, thinking more would be better, and it didn't. We had to go back, reduce the data sets on the highest quality records, and then only then did our systems start performing well. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need years of data because you can use AI. You probably have enough already. What you need is clean data. Let me talk about your spreadsheets, because for most small and medium businesses, the spreadsheet is both your biggest AI asset and your biggest problem. It's an asset because your spreadsheet contains the operational data that AI needs. Sales figures, customer lists, inventory products, project timelines. This is exactly the type of structured data that AI can analyze and learn from. It's a problem because spreadsheets are notoriously messy, even if you're a bit of an Excel ninja like myself. Multiple people editing the same file with no version control, inconsistent formatting, mix and date formats across columns, cells left blank because someone didn't know what to put there, and typos that break pattern recognition, formulas referencing cells that don't exist, etc, etc. I see this in every business I work with. The data is there, the value is there, but it's buried under years of ad hoc organization. The fix isn't to stop using spreadsheets, it's to implement some basic discipline. Use consistent date formats, don't leave cells blank, use a placeholder like unknown instead. When you rename product category, update every reference. These small habits make a massive difference when you come to train AI. One of the things that I've done in my business is historically we used to run most of our business on Excel spreadsheets, which I'm sure a lot of you do. And the first step, which we believe is good with AI and what we teach on this channel, is actually to convert those spreadsheets into a tool. And you can do that using some of the softwares now and the IDEs on Claude Code. It's quite easy to do. This is the sort of thing we teach on our channel. So if you're interested in this sort of thing, please give us a like, please give us a subscribe. Just get that in there while I'm talking about it. But building from spreadsheets into your own tool is actually surprisingly easy to do. You can customize your own local software, which you as the business owner can use, or you as the senior operations guy can use, instead of using those old clunky Excel spreadsheets. And they are great and they are comfortable and we all like them, but when you start scaling the business, they basically fall away very quickly. So here's the broader point about data readiness. Off-the-shelf AI tools are built to handle messy data better than custom builds. They've been trained on massive data sets and can tolerate inconsistencies that would break a custom system. If you're an SME, start with off-the-shelf tools. Only invest in custom builds when you've proven the concept and cleaned your data. And that's exactly what I was mentioning there. We started with a frontier model. We basically cleaned our data, anonymized it all, fed it into a frontier model, tidied it up. But then actually what we've ended up doing is building a whole custom white label ERP system, which is bespoke to our business, which handles all the functions of the business. So let me address something that causes a lot of anxiety for business owners. What happens to AI when you delete customer data under GDPR? Here's a straightforward answer. If you delete customer data that was used to train an AI, the AI doesn't forget what it learned. AI models are like humans. You can't make them forget selectively. The patterns they learned are baked into the model. So this creates a little bit of legal tension. GDPR gives customers the right to be forgotten, but if their data was used to train AI, you can't easily remove its influence. So one practical solution is anonymization before training, and this is what we absolutely recommend with any data that you put into a frontier model. Now, if you're using a local open source model, this is a different kettle of fish because it's yours, it's local, it's not hosted anywhere else. And this is where I believe personally that the industry is going, and where security and the future of your sensitive data in your business should be in the future. So when a customer asks for deletion, if you're using anonymous data, you can honestly say their personal data isn't in the system. The AI learned from anonymized patterns, not from their personal information. And this is why anonymization step is absolutely 100% critical if you're going to be using a frontier model like OpenAI or Claude or whatever that might be. This section is critical, don't skip it. You also need a clear retention policy. Define how long you might keep types of data. Customer transactions might stay for 7 years for tax purposes. Service interactions might stay for 2 years. Marketing data might stay for 1. Automate the deletion so you stay compliant without thinking about it. If you're using a vendor's AI tool, ask them what happens to training data when customers request deletion. If they can't give you a clear answer, that should concern you. Here are the 3 things to take away from this lesson. First, reality check. Between 70 and 85% of AI failures are data-related problems, not algorithm problems. Your data is the bottleneck. The good news is you can actually fix your data. You can't build a better algorithm than OpenAI, but you can clean up your own spreadsheets. Second, the 80-20 principle. You don't need to clean everything. Focus on the 20% of your data that delivers the 80% of value. When your last 12 to 18 months of customer interactions, your current product catalog, your active records, 1,000 clean examples beat 10,000 messy ones. Third, the action. Do a 30-minute data inventory this week. List every source of customer and business data you have. For each one, ask, how old is it? How complete is it? How consistent is the formatting and who has access to it? That exercise alone will show you where to focus before you spend a penny on AI. So to distill this lesson down to one line, your data is the real bottleneck in AI success, and cleaning it is far cheaper than a failed AI project. In the next lesson, we're moving on to E. We'll be talking about ethics, the questions AI raises for business owners, from customer privacy to automated decision making, and how to stay on the right side of them. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next lesson.